Let's review 幻影異聞録 #FE, also known as Tokyo Mirage Sessions, released for the Wii U in late 2015. The game is a collaboration between game developer Atlus and Nintendo, and combines the style of Atlus RPGs with the world of Fire Emblem. It's a more or less traditional Japanese role-playing game set in modern Tokyo, featuring a cast of characters that gain special powers from benevolent spirits when entering a parallel dimension, in order to save the world, of course. In other words, very much like Persona. At the same time, it's a Fire Emblem game, and it's without question the best-looking 3D Fire Emblem game ever. The characters are colorful and distinct, and animations are smooth and powerful. The way these characters fight brings back sweet memories of the golden age of Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance. So, how much of this game is Persona and how much is Fire Emblem? At its core, this is very much a Persona-like RPG. You have a cast of young people, most of them high school students. You will spend a lot of time in Tokyo, shopping, exploring, and doing side quests. The fighting is done inside a number of dungeons, usually with one new dungeon appearing each chapter. These can be revisited at any time for treasure hunting or various side quests. The battles too, at a glance, look similar to Persona. You have a party of 3, fighting more or less grotesque enemies. The key to winning battles is to exploit the elements that the enemies have a weakness to, as this will allow the other characters in your party to perform a follow-up move. These moves can again lead to more follow-ups, starting massive chains for massive damage. The system evolves during the game, with later chapters giving access to possibilities you would never have imagined in the beginning. Follow-ups are only possible under the right circumstances, and when your characters have learned the corresponding follow-up skills. For example, to perform a follow-up to a sword-based attack, another character must learn a follow-up skill triggered by swords, and so forth. As long as you meet the conditions though, chains are performed automatically, and you can just enjoy the show while it goes on.
Nice combination!
Apart from the fundamental satisfaction of making chains, it also looks really good, with plenty of smooth and spectacular animations. And as you upgrade your follow-up attacks, the attacks themselves will also look more impressive. Each character has a mirage connected to them, providing them with super fighting powers when entering the parallel dimension, in which all the dungeons lie. While the similarity to Personas is striking, the mirages are a bit different. Each mirage is a character from a Fire Emblem game, with representatives from both newer and really old games. While they are of course fantastic beings, they are still quite human-like in their personalities, often talking with their Mirage Master and participating in the story. As anyone who has played Persona, especially Persona 5, will notice, the similarities to this game are so numerous that it's impossible not to compare them. And while the structure is very much the same, high school students running around Tokyo while checking messages on their smartphones and saving the world, there are also some major differences. The main one probably being the weight of the whole experience. While #FE is a substantial game on its own and will take you more than 50 hours to clear, it is not nearly as story-heavy as Persona. Conversations and cutscenes are abundant, but they are not that long. Also, while most characters are essentially high school students, they quickly become full-time performers, and the school plays virtually no role in the story. This also means that you won't have to worry about your academic performance. Instead, what matters is their career as performers and artists. Each member of your team is in some capacity a performer, and as the story progresses, so does their career, which covers auditioning, coaching, singing, modeling, television appearances, meeting fans, and more. The beauty of it is that this is all completely integrated into the game, including the quests and the battle system. While dungeon exploration and fighting all takes place in a separate dimension, the theme of performance is all the more present there. All battles are performed on stage, in front of an audience. Every attack is a performance for the camera, and success on the battlefield increases when your characters get used to ad-libbing and duo performances. When characters go all out, they will sing songs from their real-world repertoire, or will dress up as the characters they've been playing on TV. The showbiz theme is even integrated into the menu, where your characters appear as artists, and party selection is of course a casting. The thoroughness and consistency of the design provides the game with a very clear identity. The well thought out integration with overall gameplay only adds to this. Graphically, the game holds up really well, as I have already mentioned several times. While technically quite simple, the pleasing art design and the colorful presentation makes it worth looking at. Characters look great, both in action and in 2D artwork. You will also, on several occasions, be treated to cartoon-like cutscenes that look amazing. The somewhat limited environments are the least impressive part of the presentation, but even the very dungeon-like dungeons, full of hallways, all have unique graphical features and themes that make them stand out a bit. The audio is perhaps even better. In a game like this, you are bound to listen to the same pieces of music hundreds of times, in this case especially the Shibuya theme and of course the normal battle theme, but luckily they are well enough made that they won't drive you insane. Throughout the story, and in battle when using special performance moves, you will be treated to a number of delightful J-pop songs, and I'm sure you'll go shopping for the soundtrack the moment you clear the game. Sound effects have an appropriate level of impact so you can feel your attacks connecting. Further, you will notice that characters, as well as their mirages, talk a lot during battle, commenting on the battle situation, warning you if you're about to do something seemingly stupid, and cheering on each other. The voices sound great and make battles feel quite alive. So where is Fire Emblem in all this? There are several elements in plain sight, and a lot more that is hidden, and mostly fanservice. You have the character classes, taken directly from Fire Emblem. Your main character, Aoi Itsuki, is of course a lord using a rapier. And, just like in Fire Emblem, he must be part of your main cast at all times. You won't get a game over if he falls in battle though, he can be revived just like everyone else. Other members of your party include a Pegasus Knight, a Mage, an Archer, and so forth. All enemies also have classes, and you might want to keep an eye on that too. Then you have the Mirages, the spirits that give your characters their fighting powers. Itsuki has Crumb from Fire Emblem Awakening. The next two are Shida and Kain from the very first Fire Emblem. And who knows who else will show up. Then you have Chiki, the Dragon Girl, also from the very first Fire Emblem. She plays a major role in the story and is also the one who makes new weapons for you and allows you to learn new skills. I wonder if she'll also show up in a performance at some point. Then there's the famous weapon triangle. Sword beats axe, axe beats spear, spear beats sword. This is an essential part of the battle system that you should always have in mind. Then there are the actual weapons wielded by your characters. If you have played a lot of Fire Emblem, you might recognize a lot of the names. Itsuki can of course wield the famous falchion. Then there is the plot. While I won't spoil anything here, let's just say that characters and events of Fire Emblem fame play a major role in the later part of the story. Finally, there's the class change. Just like in Fire Emblem games, you will at some point be able to raise your characters to an advanced class. You will even get to choose from 2 specializations. You don't have to know anything about Fire Emblem to enjoy this game. If you don't know it, all the Fire Emblem elements will just be otherworldly stuff that you are seeing for the first time. If you do know it though, there's quite a bit of nostalgia to be enjoyed. I must say that the mix of Persona and Fire Emblem works surprisingly well. The integration of Fire Emblem mechanics into the battle system is consistent and well thought out, and even the story, outlandish as it is, works well. The further you get into the story, the more Fire Emblem elements you will meet, and I dare say that the final climax is sure to satisfy most fans of the series. Sharp FE has an average length for a game in its genre, and doesn't outstay its welcome. While the basics of dungeon exploration stay the same for the duration of the adventure, most dungeons have puzzles or gimmicks that make them stand out from the rest and keep the experience relatively fresh. The battles, and particularly the bosses, can be quite challenging, keeping you on your toes. You may feel you are in control, but one unexpected double move from the enemy can always throw you completely off guard. Clever use of spells, special moves and items can get you out of many situations, and you do, of course, have the option to grind for more levels if you desire. Many new skills can be learned by completing the major side quests, and some of these can really turn the tide in battle. The flow of new special abilities continues all the way to the last chapter, meaning that there is always something to look forward to. Being as thorough as we are, we must of course be on the lookout for idiotic game design. But while some battles may be frustrating until you figure them out, I haven't found any particularly idiotic design in this game. There is not all that much to criticize outright. Conversations can be sped up very much. Cutscenes can be skipped. There are no random encounters, enemies can always be seen, and the weaker ones can be driven away. You are always warned before boss fights, and you can save everywhere, even when being chased by monsters. And what about the Wii U gamepad? Fans have been wondering why this game hasn't been released for the Switch yet. Is this because the game can't be played without the extra screen? Well, the game does make good use of the gamepad. It serves as your smartphone, where you'll receive instant messages from the other characters, sometimes quest-related, sometimes just for fun. It can be used as a map, which can really come in handy in dungeons. And in battle, it's used as an extra information screen, where you can see a lot of details about enemies. I'm sure all of this could be adapted to somehow fit on the main screen, but it would take a bit of effort from the developers to make it work, and look good at the same time. And there you pretty much have it. All in all, a very solid RPG that sounds good and looks good, especially in battles. The follow-up attacks put a twist on the battle system that keeps it fresh, and allows for involvement of all party members in most battles, even without switching cast members. Along with the importance of elemental weaknesses, this ensures that the entire team, and not just your three favorites, are essential to success. The characters are charming and likable, just like the game itself, and the showbiz theme surrounding the whole experience is absolutely delightful.
準備はいいかな？
当然でしょ。カルネージフォーム。ハリウッド的に決めるわよ。
If all you want is a classic tactical Fire Emblem game, you won't find it here. But if you happen to enjoy solid JRPGs with a twist of Fire Emblem, you're in for a treat and tons of fan service. And you'll finally get to see just how good Fire Emblem can look in 3D.
行くぞ。カルネージフォーム。運命を切り開く。
幻影異聞録 Sharp FE, or Tokyo Mirage Sessions, gets
畳みかけろ。
いつきくん、お兄ちゃん、いつきくん、頑張って。
運命を超える。
5 stars.
余裕余裕。